the surface web is all that is open, then the deep web refers to the part of the web that isn't searchable. It's not that shady things are happening here, but that there's generally some good reason for not being searchable by the public. The deep web is sometimes also referred to as undernet, invisible web, and hidden web. For example, internet banking, Hotmail, and other web-based email services like Gmail, academic journals, password-protected websites are considered part of the deep web. If we dig deeper, we find what's known as the dark web. The difference between the dark net and the dark web is that the dark net is the actual network of servers themselves, with the dark web being the content that is served up on these servers. The key distinction between the dark web and the deep web is anonymity. Users on the dark web are browsing the web mostly anonymously. This quality of being anonymous is precisely what lends this part of the web to its use in dealing in illicit materials. To browse the dark web, users need a specialized piece of software, the most famous of which is called Tor and its associated browser. Other lesser-known examples include I2P and Freenet. Browsing the dark web starts with someone downloading Tor, which stands for the Onion Router. Once Tor is installed, all traffic while browsing via Tor is routed through a worldwide volunteer network of servers or routers. Traffic then remains anonymous because each router knows only the location of those immediately preceding and following it. Tor website addresses don't look like ordinary URLs. They are composed of a randomly looking string of characters followed by .onion. For example, look at the following URL. Interestingly, the project was initially developed with the US Navy. It's now maintained by a non-profit organization. We mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that the dark web is used for illicit materials, drugs, guns, hacking, etc. When banks are breached and customer data is obtained, this information is sold on the dark web. It's also where hackers can be hired. We found the following site on the dark web. If you notice, they're charging 50 to 100 euro an hour for hacking anybody that you want. They even go as far as to say that if you pay extra, we can get someone known as a child pornography user. Legitimate use. The dark web also has a number of legitimate uses, including citizen journalists, journalists in oppressive countries, whistleblowers, Chinese dissidents, etc. It can be used to get around censorship. Another legitimate use of the dark web is for individuals who are tired of their privacy being breached, tired of companies constantly tracking their behavior, of governments having access to their behavior. It's a legitimate use to be able to browse the web and not be tracked. Knowing and understanding cybersecurity threats is important for all banks, and in the age of cybersecurity, banks and organizations must understand all of their external threats and what they are up against.